साइंस की बुक सबको मिला है। देखो मैथ्स का सेकंड मिला है क्या? मैथ्स का सेकंड वाला मिला है? हां आपको मिला था। सेकंड वाला क्या फर्स्ट वाला? सेकंड दोनों मिले। आपको नहीं मिला है? मैथ्स का सेकंड वॉल्यूम मिला है? मिला है। सेकंड वाला? हां सेकंड में मिला है, फर्स्ट में
Good evening. How are you all? I know this, and all the rest are new. She's all. How are you all? Three of you, no? You're there. Good. And the rest, which school? Ryan. Ryan where? Ryan Sanpad. Podar. Boys? Ryan Sanpad. All three of you? So how is it going, 10th standard? Happy? Good, no? 10th standard is going fun? Why not? You are the senior most batch in the school right now.
Nobody there was school right now. It's only 10th standard going.
Only 10th. Why? Podar, why? Acha, they are starting from the 4th.
Yeah.
So, and what about you all? Boys look so sad. This is the first class, science? Bio first. Physics, chemistry started already. Now, CBSE 10 syllabus, right from the beginning, if you take it little bit programmed, sincere, you can easily manage. Don't take it that as a big burden, but only that students wake up by the month of September, October, and that then it becomes difficult. Otherwise, if you start right now, we are always before the school. By the time, maybe by September, we will wind up with the syllabus. Certain things, let me make you aware. Those of you came from the 9th also, things in the 10th are a little bit different. Number one, in the 10th standard, syllabus, whatever is programmed for your, from the board, we will divide in certain chapters. There's a particular sequence in which we will go unless and until your school deviates from the system. Now, for example, if I tell you what are the chapters in biology, the chapters in biology are life processes, control coordination, heredity, our environment, and which is the other one? There's one. How do organisms reproduce? So this 5 chapters. Now, most of the schools would generally start with life processes, except for 1 or 2 schools, they may start with heredity. We will follow a particular sequence, finish up the portion much before your school maybe declares for a test or an exam. So whatever portion we are covering up here will be at a faster rate, faster pace than your school, and that is the objective also. So try catching up all the subjects, try catching up, don't remain absent for unnecessary reasons, because unless and until it is your school exam, where all of you are remaining absent, then only there may be in certain cases repeat of lectures. The same topic may be taken again, because 7 or 10 or 12 of you remaining absent for the school exam, then that is understood. But other than that, you are just moving out of the town for some or the other reason, 1 day, 2 day, 5 days. For every reason, lectures will not be repeated, or you cannot get the same lecture done again. You cannot sit for the lectures because all other subjects are planned in the week and we are also tied up. So this is one, the first thing that I mentioned, don't remain absent for unnecessary reasons. When there's a health condition or some major dire need is there, then there's a different story, but unnecessary reasons, don't remain absent. Second, as and when we complete the portion, if there's a exam, test mentioned in your school, try to get the portion for the test well ahead of time. In case the chapter that we are doing here, because here, unlike school, it will be 3-4 schools sitting together, so we'll have to satisfy the needs for every school. Now, for example, in the month of July, almost all schools will have an exam, but the portion not necessary, all the schools will have the same portion. Some schools will have 2 parts of life processes. One school will have life process, the entire chapter, or half of it, and our environment. Some school may have heredity. So there are some 1 or 2 schools who would generally have a portion little bit different. So if that is so with your school also, please inform. Inform when? As early as possible. So now today I am going to start with the chapter. Possible that when your portions are done and your teacher has started something new, different, definitely that portion only she will be giving you for the first exam. So please inform the concerned teachers or the coordinator. You know, Rekha ma'am, anything is there, you will have to inform her from time to time. Then she will bring into our notice so that we can deal with those chapters much ahead of your exams. Okay. 2 days or 3 days before the exam, you come and inform us that no ma'am, this chapter is not done in our school and this chapter is going to come for the exam. So that it's too late, we will not be able to help you. Understanding what I'm telling you? So right from the beginning, remain little bit planned, remain little bit alert, and do your work in a sincere manner. So 10 CBSE is not difficult at all. Take the chapters now. For biology, what are the chapters? Looking at the index. What are the chapters for biology? The chapters for biology are life processes, which is an elaborate chapter. Life processes, 4 parts we are going to study in that chapter. Life processes, after that control coordination, after that how do organisms reproduce. Take those chapters biology. So no confusion at all right from the beginning. You know how many more chapters to do, where we are, which chapter we are doing. Okay, how do organisms reproduce? What else? Heredity is there and our environment. So these are the 5 chapters. What are we going to start today? Today we are going to start life processes. We are going to start life processes today. What are life processes? What are the different types? What are their role, significance in the body of an organism? What are life processes? I would say life processes means, okay, one more thing again, all of you should have notebooks for different subjects. Don't just come with a diary or a handbook or a notebook and keep writing today 1 page chemistry, the next page tomorrow physics, and no. Proper notebooks. Otherwise, it makes no sense. For example, those who were there for the 9th, you know the system. Whatever chapter, whatever topic we will discuss, there will be a large number of question answers we will discuss from the book. You have for CBSE, the NCERT book is there and the volume that we have given you. Now, why the volume? Should you read the volume? Topic is the same. You may ask me that why should I read the volume? Especially for the CBSE textbook, since nothing is given in points and there are no highlights to understand which is important and which is not. What are the points for one answer that I write? That's the reason the volume we frame to give you a very clear idea that if this function is asked, this points you write. If this process is asked, then this steps you write. So the volume will be a ready reference for you every time. So this should go parallel. You will read the text. We will tell you how exactly. I'll make things very clear, not to worry at all. Read a part of the textbook, and then for remembering points and revision, always the volume will help you. The volume has more than hundreds of questions there per chapter, and almost more than 50% questions we are going to solve in the class, and another some 20-30% questions which are almost repeats and asked in different ways. Answers already you have written in the notebook. That I definitely expect you all to work out, go through individually, find out, do you know the answers for all these questions? Ma'am has already discussed this. Let me try out whether I know the answers for this. If not, then definitely you'll have to ask. Okay, so that is how the system is. Notebooks are must for every subject, separate notebooks, and volume and notebook and textbook every day to class. Okay. Okay, we start with life processes. Now, what are life processes? I was telling you. What are life processes? Processes which are actually helping an organism to survive. That's a life process. Then what are some of the processes which are actually helping an organism to survive, which is a must for an organism, without which the organism cannot survive? What are some? Respiration, and transportation, and excretion, and nutrition. Okay, so what are the four major? Nutrition, definitely. Respiration, transportation, and excretion. But of course, for simple group of organisms, the method would be a little bit different. So, which are the four major life processes? We talk about nutrition. We talk about nutrition. Next is respiration. Nutrition, respiration. After respiration, we have to mention transportation. Transportation. After transportation, we talk about excretion. We are going to talk about all these four major parts of the chapter. Now, these are the four major sections of the chapter. Elaborate, we are going to study methods, structures, functions, differences, etc. Nutrition, respiration, transportation, and excretion. Now, this is for all organisms. This is for all organisms, whether I talk about some plants or I talk about some animals. Okay? But there may be some exception. Now, exception meaning I may also talk about one more process known as diffusion. Can diffusion be a life process?
Yes.
For single-celled organisms. So, if I talk about can diffusion be a life process? Yes, but there's a limitation now. What is the limitation? The limitation is diffusion can be a life process only for simple organisms, single-celled organisms. Then, what type of processes? The single-celled organisms. Okay, I understand. Diffusion can be a life process for some single-celled organisms. I may understand examples like what? Examples like the amoeba. I talk about this amoeba. Now, this particular amoeba can take in certain type of molecules by making some food, waste, urine, etc., pass through the body wall. Yes, diffusion is happening. So, these molecules which were outside the body of this organism passes through the body wall, enters into the body, and now starts getting distributed, digested, etc. At the same time, this organism which is releasing some waste substances, this also can be passed out through the body wall. Then what is the meaning of diffusion here we are understanding? What is the specific definition of diffusion?
Movement of particles from higher concentration to lower concentration.
Molecules, not particles. We would say, what is the basic definition of diffusion then? The basic definition always to understand is movement of molecules of a substance. Movement of molecules of a substance from a region of high concentration to a region of low concentration. Now, if I talk about the amoeba, does in our day-to-day life we come across the process of diffusion? In our day-to-day life, do we come across the process of diffusion?
Dry fruits. Say there's kept under the sun.
That's not diffusion.
That's it.
That's not diffusion.
Intermixing of gases.
Intermixing of gases. Give me something specific. You are coming close. Ek example bata.
Interchanging of oxygen and carbon dioxide.
Acha, that is inside our body. That's inside our body. You are applying some body spray.
Perfumes.
Is that diffusion?
Yes.
Yes. Your mother is cooking some food in the kitchen. You are sitting in the hall. Are you able to smell?
Yes.
Diffusion. I want to drink a cup of tea. What do? In that cup of tea, I put some sugar cube. One is enough, not some. One sugar cube. Is that diffusion?
Intermixing of molecules.
That cup of tea that I took, initially it was not sweet. I put that sugar cube. After 2 minutes, I stir it, and now that I drink it sweet. Is that diffusion? Yes. Also at a day, if you see so many instances of diffusion we do come across, but now we are talking about diffusion as a life process. For our body, diffusion is actually not a life process. Now that she had been talking about the exchange of gases, yes, that is true. But there are so many other things helping, no?
I was slow.
Very slow. It's a very slow process. So for complex organisms like us, no, it's not satisfactory. It's not satisfactory. So let us learn this, a very small concept given in your book. What is diffusion? Can this be a life process? Yes, diffusion, the basic definition is this. And can this be a life process? Yes, it is a life process. But if I talk about organisms like amoeba, if I talk about organisms like Chlamydomonas, and if I talk about organisms like Paramecium, etc., yes, it is a life process because it helps in the intake of the nutrients and giving away of the waste substances, etc., exchange of gases, etc. Another question is, then why for complex organisms this cannot be a satisfactory process? Why for us it cannot be a satisfactory process? Why for a plant it cannot be a satisfactory process? That you get as a question. It's a question of your textbook itself. Why for a plant diffusion is not a satisfactory process? Why for complex organisms like the fish and the frog and the bird and the human it is not a satisfactory process?
Ma'am, it can only satisfy the needs of any unicellular organisms. Multicellular organisms have complex systems, so it requires quick process.
And एक और चीज जो बताना है और क्या है?
It's not in direct contact with the environment.
The cells, all the cells are now think. Are the cells of the stomach wall in direct contact with the external environment? Are the bone cells, muscle cells in direct contact with the external environment? No. Now I would say that the bone cells, or say the muscle cells, now that I am writing, so much of energy spent. Now that I am talking, so much of energy spent. But the muscles of my mouth, the inner layer, the muscles, they are not in direct contact with the external environment, only the layer of the skin cells. So the oxygen that is entering through the layers of the skin to reach the muscle cells, it will take maybe another 15 minutes. Then I'll have to talk very slow. You are writing fast, you are walking, running, jumping. So the inner layers of cells talk about the leg and the toes and talk about the hands and talk about the inner parts of the body. The cells are not in direct contact with the external environment. On top of that, diffusion is a very slow process. So if diffusion has to satisfy, our body movements will be very slow. Because oxygen from the external environment will enter through the layers of the skin, and hardly it will be able to penetrate 2-3 layers of the cells. Then what about the deeper cells? They will never get oxygen. They will never be able to release energy. So that is the concept. See, there's a question. We will start from this concept. Textbook ko has. All of you should At least, now you decide among yourselves, but the class should have at least 7-8 textbooks. Who has the textbook? See at the first set of questions. Can you see this question number 1 on diffusion? Read out that question.
Why is diffusion insufficient to meet the oxygen requirement of multicellular organisms like humans?
Correct. Write down the name of the chapter first. Life processes. We are talking about the basic concept of diffusion. Write down the name of the chapter, and the first question that we take is, why is diffusion? Read out that question.
Why is diffusion insufficient to meet the oxygen requirements
Of multicellular organisms? Well, repeat, right, all of you? Why is diffusion? Why is diffusion insufficient to meet? Why is diffusion insufficient to meet the oxygen requirement to meet the oxygen demand or the oxygen requirement of multicellular organisms? Multicellular organisms. But that question, all of you? Right? The process of diffusion involves, write down this definition first. Process of diffusion involves, this definition you have to write first. Process of diffusion involves the movement of molecules of a substance. Substance here that I write includes solids, liquids and gases, all. Movement of molecules of a substance from a region of high concentration to a region of low concentration. Full stop. It is a slow process. It is a slow process. It is a slow process. The deeper layers of cells, the deeper layers of cells in a multicellular organism, the deeper layers of cells in a multicellular organism the deeper layers of cells in a multicellular organism will not be able to meet the oxygen requirement, will not be able to meet the oxygen requirement by diffusion. Full stop. Also, most of the cells are not in contact with the external environment, not in contact with the external environment, full stop. Hence, the oxygen supply and the energy requirement, oxygen supply and energy requirement will not be at par. will not be at par. PAR. So basic 2 points you are writing. Multicellular organisms are large number of cells. Cells inside the body are not coming in contact with oxygen. Diffusion being a slow process, oxygen will not reach those cells and the energy release will be so less. So you can elaborate a little bit more also. I gave you an answer maybe for 2 marks. Okay, little bit more if you have to write for a 3-mark answer, then on what point you are going to elaborate. You have to elaborate that since the energy release is less, the different type of body movements will become slow. I explained in this. So that point also you can elaborate on. So this is what we are only talking about, a small concept of diffusion taking place in such and such organisms and why it cannot satisfy a complex organism like us. Now we go back to the major points of the chapter, the major parts of the chapter. The first part of the chapter that we are going to discuss would be nutrition. Okay, before that, I have been mentioning that these are the 4 life processes: nutrition, respiration, transportation, and excretion. Nutrition. When we are talking about the concept of nutrition, what is the first thing that comes to your mind? Yes, food. Correct. Meaning food and
the nutrition gives it like iron.
Achha, respiration. When I say, what is the first thing that comes to your mind?
Oxygen.
Or
Oxygen gas.
Or energy. Correct. Transportation.
Oxygen. Transportation.
Transport what?
Oxygen. Base materials.
Transport only oxygen. Variety of substances. Carbon dioxide also. Transport not only oxygen, carbon dioxide also. And excretion, why necessary? To remove the toxic substance of the body, otherwise the blood becomes toxic. So now we start with the first part of the chapter. As I already mentioned, the 4 major parts of the chapter, quite elaborate. Diagram based questions, drawing diagrams is a must here now. So many diagrams we'll have to draw. Today I'm not asking you to draw anything. From the next class you should have proper pencil, eraser. Okay, no begging, borrowing every time. Have your own things. So now nutrition. Nutrition and this word, nutrients. You have come across this word?
Yes.
Nutrients and nutrition. So, nutrients, give me one example.
Proteins.
Correct. So, nutrition kya hai? What is nutrition? Process of? Acha, one by one. Process of? Acha, something else?
Chemical substances which provide nourishment.
ये वो तो हो गया nutrients. Now,
Nutrition is the process of intake of nutrients and utilizing
those. That is the complete definition. What is nutrition and how are nutrition different from nutrients? What is the basic difference between these words? These are some chemical components that we are talking about, present in different type of food. I may say, what is the chemical component present in milk? Chemical, proteins, vitamins. What is the chemical component present, major chemical component present in egg? What is the major chemical component present in bread? If I'm thinking of that, then I'm thinking of nutrients. But what is the process by which the parrot is taking in food and utilizing it in its body? What is the process by which a fish takes in food? Nutrition. So nutrition kya ho gaya? That's a process. And nutrients kya ho gaya? These are chemical substances. Okay. So what is the basic meaning of nutrition? How will you define? Define nutrition. देखिए बहुत सारे demos हैं. We are going to study. What is nutrition? Nutrition की definition क्या लिखना है? What is the definition? The process of procurement. समझो. Wait. Key terms क्या है? The process of procurement. Procurement मतलब taking in. Now when I say taking in, the fish and the lizard, the duck and the human, method of taking in food same or different? The duck and the frog and the fish and the human, method of taking in food same है कि different है? कैसे same होगी? Hey, mouth, but then how is the parrot taking in the food? Hard horn, a big head, no teeth, pre-cut pieces and grind. Eating is different, no? What about the fish? Method is different. What about the frogs and the lizards? Different, no? Sticky tongue. So the method of taking in food is also not the same for all organisms. I talk about reptiles, I talk about amphibians, I talk about fishes, and if I talk about invertebrates, again, absolutely different. So the method of taking in food for these organisms are not the same. So the process by which an organism takes in food and now digests it inside the body and utilizes. Utilization ka matlab? Now that you are eating a piece of apple, it should get digested and then the nutrients inside your body cells, then only it is beneficial. So three parts in the definition always. What are the three parts in the definition? The three parts in the definition, the process of procurement and digestion and utilization in the body, any type of a food. So definition kya likhenge likho? What is the definition of nutrition? Define nutrition. What is the definition of nutrition? The process. It is a process, always to write as a process. The process of procurement matlab taking in. The process of procurement or taking in of food. The process of procurement or taking in of food, comma, its digestion, digestion matlab breaking down, its digestion into simpler forms, and utilization in the body, is known as nutrition. Then, how are nutrients different from nutrition? Nutrients are chemical components present in food items. So, ये definition should be very clear. How are nutrients different? Then we will discuss the next part. What are nutrients? What are nutrients? Chemical components present in the food items. Chemical components present in the food items. Now, what are the chemical components? I talk about chemical components, maybe what? Carbohydrates. I talk about this is a major type of a nutrient. What are the other different types? Other different types are proteins, and then fats, and then
iron.
नहीं category क्या है?
Fats, water,
vitamins and minerals. So these are the five major categories. Water, roughage also there, but these are the five major categories. What are the five major? What are nutrients? What are the five different groups? The five different groups of nutrients are carbohydrates, proteins, fats, mineral, vitamins. But now, if I have to talk about some food items to satisfy that which food items contain this different type of nutrient, then for carbohydrates, kya likhu? Bread, potato, rice, wheat, chapati, roti, buns, and
pulses.
नहीं, pulses हो गया यहाँ पे proteins. So if I talk about, we should be very clear. If I talk about carbohydrate, all the different type of flour, atta hai, maida hai, any type of a food item of these, the roti, the bun, the bread, the rice, the corn, all these are rich in carbohydrates. Talk about proteins. What type of food rich in proteins? Meat, milk, eggs, pulses, the different type of dal that we eat, pulses, beans, seeds, a major source of protein. But I cannot say that if I talk about the egg has, I'm saying major source. But egg में vitamins भी होता है, some few minerals are also there. But major source I'm talking about right now. Fats, all the dairy products. I may understand the ghee and the butter and the cheese. Curd little bit. Again, if I talk about curd, fat is less and the protein content also there. Okay. Vitamin minerals comparatively should go together. fruits and vegetables. The different types of fruits. So now you should be clear what are nutrients and uske 5 categories. What are we understanding? So is there a difference between nutrients and food stuffs or food items? Yes. Just now we have been talking about so many food items. Clear here? Food items and what type of nutrients do they carry. So ये हो गया basic difference between nutrition and nutrients. So now we are clear. Nutrition is a process and nutrients are chemical components. Chemical components, 5 major types. So apart from this, I may also talk about ये तो 5 category, 5 types है ही. Apart from this, little bit, if you have to know about this, roughage. Roughage is also another type of a nutrient now in the category, but थोड़ा अलग है इसीलिए because it is fibrous. Which are the 2 or 3 foodstuffs or food items you can name here? Banana, fruits. I may talk about cabbage. I may talk about spinach. I may talk about other different type of crops like corn, not much. Carrots. I may talk about beetroot. So certain type of fruits and crops, pineapple. I may talk about certain type of fruits and crops which are fibrous. No, certain type of fruits and crops when we eat some fibrous material we can understand, rich in roughage. So, but then these are the 5 main groups. Now, a basic idea of nutrition. What are nutrients? And nutrients, how do they satisfy with the different type of food items? Still, we have to understand so much more about the concept of nutrition. Next one. Here, since we are talking about the concept of nutrition, next we are going to understand what are the different types, what are the different modes of nutrition. What are the different modes? The different modes would be autotrophic. The different modes would be autotrophic. Auto, what does this word auto means? Cell. Correct, cell. So autotrophic, meaning what? Organisms, or autotrophic means the mode in which, it's a process. Again, autotrophic nutrition I am talking about. How should we define what is autotrophic nutrition? Remember the pattern you write, now that you are in the 10th standard, the way you write an answer should be very good, very clear. Autotrophic mode, meaning I am talking about the method still, process still. How do you write? The mode in which organisms can prepare or synthesize their own food. The mode in which, mode meaning method, process we are talking about, the mode in which, the method in which organisms can prepare their own food. So, what are these organisms known as? Autotrophs. Organisms are known as autotrophs. Try understanding what are some of the finest things I'm discussing here. So when I give you a question, you should be able to answer very prompt. So here I'm talking about 2 things. I'm talking about mode and I'm talking about the organism. So plant is autotrophic or autotroph. Autotroph. The method and the organism, no, 2 different things. So now the other side, what do we write? Heterotroph. So here, when I talk about heterotrophic, how will you define then heterotrophic mode to understand? The mode in which organisms are dependent on plants and other, or the plants and other animals for food, or dependent on other organisms for food. The mode in which organisms are dependent on other organisms for food. Now here, okay, if I have to talk about the organisms, here also we'll have to parallelly understand What are these organisms known as? The organisms are known as heterotrophs. Autotrophs, heterotrophs. Autotrophic methods are not too many types, but heterotrophic modes are many. But we'll go as per the syllabus only. Now, autotrophic mode. Are you clear about these two terms that I'm talking about, all of you?
Yes.
So now I'm saying autotrophic, heterotrophic, they are parallel, they're contrasting. Autotroph and heterotroph, they are contrasting. Tell me two examples each.
Plants photosynthetic
यहाँ पे क्या लिखूं?
plants photosynthetic bacteria
And
or
algae, blue-green algae. लिखो. Examples at least for plants, for autotrophs, write all the examples. Heterotroph, there are many, you can choose to write only 2, 3. I would write plants, I would write the different type of soil bacteria, aquatic organisms bacteria there, and the algae. So these are the autotrophic organisms, and this form the major group, the major category. And here when I'm talking about heterotrophs, what examples should you write? Human is there, birds there, reptiles there, mollusks there, invertebrates also you can write as examples. So write any 2, 3 of your choice. You understand? Different type of organisms you can write, different type of heterotrophs. You can write the name of a tapeworm also, you can write the name of a bird also, you can write human also. All these are heterotrophs. Correct. So now this is autotrophic. What are the different types of autotrophic? If you now look into what are the different types of autotrophic? The different types of autotrophic, let us now try understanding. The different types of autotrophic, if I try understanding, can this group autotrophic be further divided? Yes, this group autotrophic again can be further divided. We are talking in detail about this here only to make you aware about the names. I would say one particular group which is maximally present are the photoautotrophs. Autotrophs able to prepare food based on the availability of light, sunlight. And that's the major group, maximum number of organisms, maximum number of autotrophs are photoautotrophs. So that's why I said plants. Then what is the other group? If I have to talk about the other group is known as Co-ordinations. Now that the organisms we had named them, plants and bacteria, etc. So I would say photoautotroph, yes, plants. What about the algae? Yes, photoautotroph. Then where do I place the bacteria? The sulfur bacteria, the phosphorus bacteria, etc. Chemoautotroph. Then what about the other feature? If I talk about photoautotroph, what is the primary feature on which they can be categorized? They require sunlight or dependent on sunlight. They require sunlight, and what else? They have got a specialized pigment. This different type of organisms that I'm talking about, the plants and the blue-green algae, they always have got a specialized pigment, chlorophyll. They have got a specialized pigment which can help trap an adequate amount of energy from the sun, solar energy, an adequate amount of energy to help the process run. Chemoautotrophic, what do they have? They have special group of chemicals, enzymes. So they have got special group of enzymes, special group of chemical substances. So what did I talk about just now? I said, if it is autotrophic, two major groups of autotrophics. Which are those? Two major group of autotrophic organisms are photoautotrophic, chemoautotrophic. If it is photoautotrophic, what are the two major features of this group of organisms? They should be having a special type of a pigment to trap the solar energy, and they are definitely dependent on sunlight. What about the chemobacteria, the chemotrophic bacteria in the soil water? They are absolutely not dependent on sunlight. They also can utilize the components present in the surrounding to make some glucose or etc. But are they dependent on sunlight? The bacteria, no, they are not dependent on sunlight. Then what is that special feature that they have? Enzymes. Special enzymes which can convert the sulfur compounds to some glucose. The phosphorus compounds, the nitrogen-rich compounds to some glucose. So that's the reason we are talking about the bacteria having some special enzymes in their cells. Clear hai? So far what are we talking about is autotrophic and its types. We are not discussing too much. We will be talking about this part in detail. It's a small group of organisms. I would say it is a small fraction of organisms when we talk about autotrophic. So nothing much in detail we are going to talk about this. Of course, this we are going to talk in detail. And the heterotrophic, 3 major modes we will talk about only as per your syllabus, but there are so many other different methods of heterotrophic nutrition. Take a break. 5 minutes, you can take a break, and again after the break we will continue. Okay.